Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam Tang Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagatgurum Padapadme Tayo Sratva Pranamami Muhur Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Surai Satchid Sukhaswarupaya Swami Tapaharine. So today we are all meeting online because of this special situation because of the COVID-19. We are here to celebrate Swami Vivekananda's 159th birth anniversary. And today, as it has been already, you have seen in the flyer, it has been notified that the topic for discussion which we have kept for today's special occasion is the communal harmony as envisioned by Swami Vivekananda. So now it's a very important topic, as I feel throughout the world somehow the factionalism has increased. We are finding the communal harmony is somehow getting affected in the present world, which is not supposed to be. We are finding that the trend which has become very common, that the globalization is no more effective. So it's creating some sort of confusion throughout the world. That are we to disintegrate? Are again that factionalism factors going to get the predominance? So in this perspective, today I thought that Swami Vivekananda, who was a prophet of synthesis, who was here to bring peace and harmony to the entire global civilization, he had his own thought process to speak in favor of the communal harmony, that why we need it. It's not something which is our choice. It is the only option which is open to us, by which we either survive or we disintegrate and be annihilated and we die. There's no other option. It's not a question just of what we choose. It is a question of our survival. There's no other choice. That's the only choice which we have. Now, there are many other ways of thinking in these lines. And that's why we find these communal factors again and again arises, because they also have some ideologies behind that. What's the ideology behind communalism? It's not that just to disintegrate, just to assert my own, my own community, my own tribe, my own sect, that we simply try to disintegrate the harmony which is existing. It's not just mere assertion. There is a philosophy, and which they believe, they think that it is the philosophy which alone can bring the real prosperity. It's only through clash of civilization. It's only through the clash of civilization that the prosperity can come. From where that idea comes? It is ingrained in this theory of evolution of Darwin. Actually, Darwin is not responsible for it, but somehow his idea got distorted by the so-called the 19th century sociologists, of which the lead role was played by Nietzsche. It is a very, very destructive philosophy. They started propounding based on the Darwin's theory of evolution. What's that? The Darwin propounded the theory of evolution. The basic thing is that variation is the law of nature. That if there is a many progeny coming from a single parent, none of them will be same. all will be very different. That variety is the law of nature. And now all won't be equally equipped to fight with the nature. There's a competition to survive against the challenges of nature. Those who are equipped, genetically equipped to fight, they will be surviving, the others will be annihilated. Now, this is the idea of Darwin's theory of evolution. When it was propounded, we find that each of this theory was actually a death knell to the so-called religious beliefs. In the total Western world, the Christian belief, the Abrahamic religion's belief is in the design theory, that all the creation came at once. God actually created the human beings first. It was in his own image the humans were made. So there is no question of evolution. It has been designed by God, by the Creator. And when this Darwin's theory was propounded, we find that the pillars of the science is as if falling. Pillars of religions are as if being devastated. The science is propounding such a theory. And it is no more speaking from top to bottom, from God to the creation. It is actually speaking of evolution from the lower creatures to the higher creatures. And for that, we need not have to look at God. We have to see at the history. If you see at the history, what you will find? That yes, of course, all the so-called civilizations are not equally evolved. All the various human, that what you say, the communities which are available, which are spread out throughout the world, they are not equally evolved. Some of the tribes, some of the human races, some among the human races are more evolved. And they, to establish their superiority, resorted to cruelty, violence, one after other. This big empires came. They slaughtered whomever they thought their enemy, and they were established in their glory, in the peak of their glory. They were there. It's not by cooperation, it's just by competition, cruelty, envy, that they have established their superiority. And for that, they pointed the so-called these sociologists who believed in the Darwin's theory. They pointed to the Greek civilization, the Roman civilization, who flourished by cruelty. They somehow proved themselves to be superior, and by cruelty, by killing, by violence, they proved their superiority. So that's the horrible theory which they are propounding. When Swami Vivekananda is going to the West, he was very, very aware of the history. All the theories that were evolving. Being a student of philosophy, being a student of history, he was quite aware. And he really became very, very, scared by seeing the trend, which is in the entire Europe and in America, the trend of thought. We will find almost in the very initial stages, in the beginning of his lectures in America, again and again, he is indicating to the fact that you say that the proof of this human's superiority is the Greek civilization and the Roman civilization, who have excelled through cruelty. If that's what which is being proven by the theory of evolution, they are still supposed to flourish. Where are they? Where the Romans, the Greeks were having their civilization, were at the peak of the civilization, at the glory and the pomp. Now these are all archaeological, venue of archaeological survey. There the spider is weaving the cobwebs. Where have they gone? Very first question, if they have been evolved, they are not supposed to be annihilated. They have been annihilated. He is as if hammering to that idea. And what he's saying, that Jesus, he's giving that example as he was in the Christian country. He was saying that for human being, it is kindness, it is cooperation that has actually helped us to evolve. Just see your civilization. who is being still remembered thousands of years back. He was also crucified, but still the half of the world is believing in him, the one who preached the idea of equality, compassion, cooperation. So, if the Darwin's theory is true, then where are they? And then we will find Swami Vivekananda is warning the entire Western civilization. All were trying to point him out. See the glory of the Western civilization. See the European countries, how flourished they are. Swamiji again and again indicated what you are seeing as the zenith of the human culture. You know it for certain. It is actually just the peak of a volcano. It's the apex of a volcano. It is about to erupt. That Swamiji is indicating. He immediately found out that because of the belief of that, because of the belief that because of competition, the European countries are the one that is going to flourish. Others will be gradually annihilated. They will be just erased from the total. That's what you say, the world scenario. So that's the idea. On why Swamiji found that they're really believing in that, because he found that all the European countries were believing in those days what colonialism, that these all Asian countries are somehow backward, they are not that evolved. Somehow we have to exploit them. We have to exploit them, and we have to survive, thrive, and we have to be at the top of all the glory and what you say, that at the zenith of this all the human culture. And others will gradually be disintegrated. They will just simply be annihilated. Swamiji was quite aware of that fact. He was seeing that how this colonialism, which is the product of that wrong way of interpreting the Darwin's theory, that is prevailing in the entire of Europe. And he felt it cannot last long. He's told that you are sitting in the tip of a volcano which is about to erupt. And we find after the passing away of Swami Vivekananda, in another 50 years, there were two world wars. And the basic reason is that colonialism, and behind that, the reason is a belief that it is by competition, by subjugating others, we evolve. The Nietzsche's philosophy, which Hitler believed, Nietzsche thought that the West, the only way of flourishing is by subjugating, is by annihilating, is by exploiting the so-called those who have not evolved. And that's how the better race actually thrives. That Hitler believed on that Nietzsche's theory. And you know what's the result, outcome of the Second World War. So that's the thing Swamiji understood quite before, that what's the outcome going to be because of all of this belief in the Darwin's theory. Now the question comes, is Darwin's theory wrong? Now the present biologists are trying to reinterpret the Darwin's theory. Still the question of competition comes. They're trying to reinterpret, but that again also still is hiding within it, that reinterpretation also hiding within it the idea of communalism. What they say? That no, there should be some cooperation. But that cooperation is along a particular tribe. The more they cooperate, they are equipped better to fight and be above the other so-called tribes who are not that cooperative. So there again, the question of factionalism comes between the tribes. But again, we will find that though they are accepting cooperation, but they're streamlining it within a tribe. Swami Vivekananda in those days again and again told, it's only by cooperation the evolution has happened. He has not denied the evolution. He didn't believe in the design theory. But at the same time, the way the Darwinians were interpreting the theory of evolution, he was deadly against that. He told only through cooperation, evolution happened. And he's giving a wonderful example that it gives a feeling that through competition, what you say, that evolution has happened. And it did happen in a few occasions, but that's not the real theory of evolution. He gives a wonderful example. Suppose in a theater, the theater is going on, and suddenly the theater is stopped, and there is an announcement. What's the announcement? That there is a fire. It may engulf the entire theater. So there's a danger. So we have to stop the play. Please move out. Now immediately there was a huge chaos. All were trying to move out of the exit so that they may be unharmed. And in the process, because of that chaos, there was stampede. Most of the people actually died in stampede, not because of the fire. Only a few who were sitting near the exit somehow managed to come out. As per the Darwin's theory of evolution, it will give a feeling that those who came out, they were evolved. Actually, they were just sitting near the exit. The situation permitted them to come out, but it will appear that they were evolved and rest all were annihilated. Now Swamiji is saying that such occasions in the nature might have happened. We're not denying, but majority of the evolution has happened through cooperation. Swamiji is saying 50 years back, means from when the present theories are now evolving. At that time, Swamiji's word nobody understood. He's saying that if, that same example he's saying, if instead of that chaos, if all the people would have decided, let us go out of the hall calmly by maintaining proper queue, let us slowly try to move out of the hall. Irrespective of the fact that the fire is there, let us not rush. Let us all calmly, in a disciplined manner, with a queue, let us come out of the hall. Swamiji is saying that almost all would have survived. None would have died. Such a wonderful example Swamiji is giving in a very simple language. And that's what the modern biologists are saying. It's not through competition, it's only through cooperation, which they term as synergy. That it is through synergy, it is not through the clash of civilization. It is through synergy, through cooperation, through win-win situation. We cooperate so that I can outgrow my limitation. You also can outgrow your limitation. So there is no question of winning and losing. You also win, I also win, and through cooperation, we evolve. The modern biologists have understood it well, but still, this is the conscious lie that we say they are all conscious liars, knowingly they lie. Somehow they want to keep the idea of communal superiority, and they say that cooperation is within the particular tribe. Those who have more cooperated within the tribe, and they can adversely hate others, they can be superior. And you will find that is the cause of all communal disharmony in the present world and going on. What has happened recently in the States? It's all the question of, you will find again, that racism somehow, with such an advanced nation, that racism is somehow again thriving because of that wrong, aberrated, peculiar notion about this theory of evolution. It's at last we have to agree that it is only through synergy. The more we can enlarge that, what is the scope of synergy, we can remove the boundaries, we can diffuse the boundaries, and the more we can move out, the more the evolution becomes better. Instead of just thinking of a particular community, in the present world, no one can survive as a community. It has to be a global civilization that's alone through this cooperation we can evolve. We have to now diffuse the boundaries and think of extending the synergy more and more to the global level. And that's why in the language of the modern biologists, the life did not take over the globe by combat, but by networking. It's what they're saying. In a recent article in Scientific American, we read, millions of years of evolution transformed a slow, defenseless ape, that's we, the humans, into the most influential creature on the planet. It took millions of years. Slowly, it's only through cooperation we have evolved. It took millions of years, which has transformed this slow, defenseless ape into the most influential creature on the planet. And that happened through synergy, through the win-win situation. That's what even the Scientific American is indicating. And now this reminds us of Swami Vivekananda's words. Swami Vivekananda himself was not understood when in his own times what he was speaking. What he was speaking now can be understood much better. What's the words of Swamiji saying? Some say that if man did not fight with man, he would not progress. I also used to think so. But I find now that every war has thrown back human progress by 50 years instead of hurrying it forwards. The day will come when man will study history from a different light and find that competition is neither the cause nor the effect, simply a thing on the way. Accidentally, it has happened. Not necessary, but it is not, it's an accident, but it's not a necessary factor to the evolution of all. So, this is the idea of Swami Vivekananda which we want to stress, because it's a something which the world has to understand. Swamiji told, now we will understand that when he formed the Ramakrishna organization, he had two thoughts in his mind. The first thought was, I shouldn't go for an organization, because he was going through the West and he saw that huge organizations are there. The church is there. But what is happening? That lot of money is poured in, the huge infrastructure, adherents are not there. So he felt that the organizations are a very low efficiency engine. It takes a lot, but it gives a very less output. So at the beginning, he thought that his ideas, which is based on Ramakrishna's Catholic ideas, he wanted that to preach these ideas, he should form an organization. First, he thought, no, it is a very low efficiency engine. And then the second thought came. In spite of this deficiency, the organization has to be formed, because the idea which is behind it, it is on that the world that needs that idea for another 1,000 years, 1,500 years. We find that we have not yet evolved. All our that at present, this all humbugism, you can say, in the name of civilization, we ourselves know with all this theory it is going to crumble to dust. We cannot survive with those ideas. And more we realize it, we will find the importance of the words of Swamiji. And that's why this organization is there to just, highlight this idea that it is only through cooperation, love, empathy, that the world's civilization can survive. And it's not only among the humans. The present pandemic, you know what's the reason, main reason? The biologists have started understanding the lesser the biodiversity, we are killing the biodiversity. When the biodiversity is not there, you reduce the biodiversity, you just increase the city. Then what happens? The virus, which are now is breeding on those this diverse all the flora and fauna. They also have to have a host. They also for survival. They shift the host, nothing else. We are just jerking off. We are just by getting rid of the flora and fauna, all those virus is being jerked off, and they are finding humans as the host. And these all diseases we have never heard of. From where it is coming? These all viruses were in some plants, in some animals. That natural habitat has been lost. We have removed them, and now they are finding their natural habitat in the human beings. So it's not just cooperation among the human beings. That also is a tribe. The entire world with its entire flora and fauna, by maintaining the entire ecology, it has to sustain. If we have to survive, we have to survive with all. It's a win-win situation. That's the thing Swami Vivekananda is again and again indicating. So Swami Vivekananda is that's the what he spoke of, that is being spoken of as the synergy, as the cooperation in the present day. So if synergy is the fact, is a biological fact, that again that question comes, that why there is so much of fight. So it is not because of the lack of cooperation and altruism. Rather, it is because of the construction of boundaries of our altruism. Instead of being directed towards the entire humanity, it gets constricted within the boundaries of nationality, language, religion, economic condition, and so on. That's what we are finding throughout the world. By this, we are constricting the boundaries. And that's why still all those clashes existing. In the words of Swami Vivekananda, all the weak and undeveloped minds in every religion or country have one way of loving their own ideal. What is the way? That is by hating every other ideal. Herein is the explanation of why the same man who is so lovingly attached to his own ideal of God, so devoted to his own ideal of religion, becomes a howling fanatic as soon as he sees or hears anything or of any other ideal. The loving father, very nice, very loving father within the family, can be a howling fanatic the moment he moves out of his house. How is it possible? You have constricted the boundary of your love and compassion. That's the thing Swamiji is saying. It's not that there is lack of sympathy. It's only we have constricted it. Swami Vivekananda himself felt that in the West. He never knew that there's such a uh, the civilization which all are praising, there he will face such uh, harassment. When with his turban he used to move out in the city of Chicago, just seeing a peculiar dress, someone will come and pull the turban, give him a push. And that's why Swamiji had to adopt to the Western dress. He is the first preacher in the West. Nowadays, many don't understand that why a Swami is wearing coat pant. We don't know the humiliation that was going on in those days. He found that the primary thing is to spread the ideas. Just how the way I dress, that is secondary. And even for sannyas in certain, this Paramahansa sannyasis, the dress actually is being prescribed by the scriptures. They can wear whatever dress they wish. He is a Paramahansa. For him, there is no restriction for dress, food habit, nothing. He found the world needs this idea that he is not going to come back just because that he cannot dress in the way he's supposed to. He adopted the Western dress, but what it did made the Western world aware of this wonderful Vedantic idea which the world really needs today if it has to survive. And such constriction and narrowing of the boundaries of synergy and cooperation makes us worse even than the animals, Swamiji is saying. It's not that by being a howling fanatic, we become like animal, we become worse than animal. And what Swamiji is saying is very terse, very strong, very pointing. The example which is giving you may feel sometimes very crude, but it is actually, it will just hit the mark. What he's saying, it is something worse than the canine instinct. Canine instinct means the dog which is your pet. You will find a very interesting thing. The dog is so faithful to its master, if it sees anyone else other than the master, it starts immediately barking, thinking that its master's security is in question. So that's a very good thing, that to protect its master, it barks. But Swamiji is saying that because of our so-called this fanaticism, what has happened, we have become worse than the animals. And what Swamiji is saying is very interesting. That a dog, of course, barks. To protect its master from others, it barks. But we, the humans, when we become howling fanatic, we start barking even at our own master the moment it changes its dress. If the master comes in a different dress, the dog will recognize in whatever dress the master comes. You can never fool a dog. But these howling fanatics, they're easily fooled. The same God they believe, if it is from a different country, different dress, different culture, immediately they start barking at their own master. So in the words of Swami Vivekananda, this kind of love is somewhat like the canine instinct of guarding the master's property from intrusion. Only the instinct of the dog is better. So Swamiji is saying only the instinct of the dog is better than the reason of man. For the dog never mistakes its master for an enemy in whatever dress he may come before it. As simple as that. And just see in the condition of the world at present, we have become something worse than the so-called the dog, the pet dog also, that we have brought down the humanity to that level by this so-called fanaticism. Every religion has two purposes. One is the social unity with the mankind, and another is the spiritual unity with God. We try to be united with the God, and after all, it's God's creation. So, just the way When a mother enters the child's room, when the child is not there, the child has gone to school, the mother enters the child's room, and whatever it sees there, the mother or she sees there, the child's all toys, the child's bed, the child's dress, whatever she sees there, it all reminds of the child, isn't it? If we really say we love God, from where the question of hatred comes. Because if the creation, is there any single religion which says that this creation is not God's? How can you say, I love my child, but I hate to enter its room? All the things remind of the child. If you love God, you are bound to love his creation. So the social unity follows from the spiritual unity. But what happens? This exclusivism comes when we forget about the spiritual unity. Those who says, for the love of God, we are doing this. They don't love God. They deny God. How can you say, I love God and I don't love his children? So what's the problem with us? Sri Ramakrishna told very interestingly. Sri Ramakrishna told that a father has 4 children. The youngest one, very small, it even cannot pronounce father. Somehow it says ba or pa. The other children may be ridiculing. See, he cannot pronounce. But is the father ever angry with the small child that as he cannot pronounce a fully father? He's quite happy. He knows he's calling him. So, what a nice example Ramakrishna is giving. God is compassionate. He never finds fault that your way of calling is correct or yours way is incorrect. It is we who are the howling fanatics. It is we who go on disintegrating for our vested interest. There is only vested interest. We never think of the welfare of the humanity, neither we accept God. That's the thing. We are not accepting God. It is total exclusivism. When it happens, when we forget God and we just try to bind ourselves just as a small tribe, then how to transcend this limitation? It's a common human weakness. For this, Swami Vivekananda in the West, again and again, has uh, what you say that highlighted the concept of Ishta Devata. It is a wonderful concept. If you go to Kumbh Mela, it is the biggest religious congregation in the world. There is no such huge congregation you can find. Now, when you go there, you find that, yes, it's a big religious congregation, but it appears to be so incongruous, they're so chaotic. You go to a church, all pray in the same way, the same prayer, the same way they will kneel down, the same way they will get up. Such a discipline is there. When the Muslims are doing their prayer, the same, the discipline. You go to Kumbh Mela, not a single, not even 2% are doing the same thing. All have their own way of rituals. Even the husband need not know what the wife's chosen deity is, what's the rituals she performs. She may have her own, even the husband may have her own. So it appears to be very, very discordant. And some, seeing that at present, some of the Hindu fundamentalists think that this is the cause that we are so disintegrated. They even don't understand the beauty of Hinduism. What was the beauty of Hinduism? The idea of Ishta Nishta. Each and everyone has the right to worship in his own way. My liberation, my way. Why? Because we are so varied. We should have our own way to worship the ideal. The idea of Ishtanishta can be understood very nicely with the help of an example. We always criticize others' practices, saying these are childish, there is superstitious. I will just give an example, you will understand that what actually Ishtanishta means. Ishtanishta means, suppose the father is a doctor and he has 3, 4 children. When after his practice he comes back home, he first opens his white coat, keeps his stethoscope, opens his shoes, and all the children come running. One take the white coat, wear it, and moves around the house. The other will take the stethoscope and will just place in the chest of others and is moving around the house. And this youngest one has just put on the father's shoes and he's also moving around. It may appear to be all childish act of the children, but the father is very happy. Why? He knows that through all those childish acts, this each of those children is developing that motivation. What's the motivation? That one day we will have to become like our father, a famous doctor. By all those childish acts, meaningless acts. Apparently, they have no meaning. Just by wearing a white coat, you don't become a doctor. Just by keeping the stethoscope in one's chest, you don't become a doctor. Just by wearing a doctor's shoes, you don't become a doctor. But with all those through all those childish acts, something is going on in the mind which is not visible. They are all feeling that one day we will become like our father. So now you will find this is the wonderful idea of Ishtanishta, that all the so-called rituals, my ritual may vary from yours, and I may say mine is more scientific, yours is all crude, but all are all crude, childish. As such, they have no value. The value lies in the way it is programming your psyche and changing you, overhauling your personality by becoming more and more divine. Not a single person, while performing a ritual, thinks I am doing a silly act. They think I am communing with the divine. Why I am communing? So that all the dross may fall off, all the impurities may fall off, and I become more and more like the one whom I worship. That's the wonderful concept of Ishtanishta. And that's what Swami Vivekananda is indicating is required by the present world. And that's how we can maintain unity even in diversity. There need not be fight. That one must be intensely devoted, in the words of Swamiji, that one must be intensely devoted to one's own chosen ideal. At the same time, one must take care not to hate, not even to criticize those radiant sons of light who are the founders of the various sects. He must not even hear them spoken ill of. So that's the idea which Swami Vivekananda is trying to make familiar with the entire Western world, familiar with that idea, that there's no harm that in worshipping what you are doing, what you are worshipping. That's the best way for you, but you need not hate others. In the present day, I being from, say, an Indian origin, if today I feel that why not go to an Italian restaurant and taste some Italian dish, does it in any way removes my taste of the Indian food? No. Still I continue to enjoy my Indian food. At the same time, I can relish the other taste also. What's the harm in it? So in this global world, actually it's a big privilege for us that though we can continue to enjoy the taste of my own faith, of my own religion, I can, as a change, have a taste of all others and allow the others to grow without disturbing them. So that's the idea which Swamiji is trying to make the West familiar with in those days. And that's the idea we are yet to be familiarized with. It needs time. This entire this world civilization has to grow to really realize those words of Swamiji. Why? What's the real reason behind all the terrorism in the present day? Just the way we all have the fear of death, individual abhinivesha. In Yoga Sutra, they say the abhinivesha means clinging to life, which brings fear of death. And you will find, even in the animal kingdom, the snake never attacks just out of cruelty. Whenever it feels it is endangered, it is in danger, then only it attacks. So from the fear of death, all the violence comes. So this way the individual abhinivesha works, the same way the collective, the racial abhinivesha works. In the present world, because of the globalization, the moment you find all are dressing in the same way, the traditional dress, most probably they have transformed. And immediately the so-called, the traditional religions, they start believing my religion is gone. Just the way I take food, if it changes, my religion is gone. And from that fear, that because of this globalization, because of the cultural uniformity, there's a threatened racial identity. Is it really worth to have that identity? The fear and aggression at present we will find is closely related to this. But Swami Vivekananda is asserting, even that, the 100 years back, that however, this fear that the religions are going to become extinct is baseless. Are not going to be. Just because you change your dress, that doesn't mean that my religious belief is going to be extinct. Religion is a constitutional necessity of human being. He told 100 years back, just the way I cannot survive without food, I cannot survive without water, I cannot survive without air, I cannot survive without religion. As a human being, it's a basic necessity. It's a constitutional necessity. What's the proof? Something very interesting. Will Durant, who was highly influenced by Swami Vivekananda, the philosopher, he told, suppress all the religions for a century, then take off the lid, the religion will grow again within a year. Is it just a mere poetic word? No. There's a proof, the historical proof. In Russia, when the communism was there, religion was banned, and it was for 60 years it was banned. And when the communism is no more there, the religions are allowed to practice, and you will find there is a madness, a tremendous urge for anyone, from the world, any religious organization goes, any sect goes there, they are thriving. People have the choice. They are just as per their temperament, they're choosing their way of life, and all these various denominations are thriving. For 60 years it was banned. Could it be extinguished? No. It's just like, just you put a lid on the grass, it appears to be dried. You remove the lid, after a few days you will find again the grass is growing. It is just like that. It is a basic necessity of man. It can never be annihilated. It can never become extinct. Then why this fear? That's because the fear is that we have somehow equated religion with just a few narrow beliefs. If religion meant spirituality, the hunger to go spiritually, and if all the religion can nurture that spirituality, there is no question of annihilation. People will resort to religion in some way or other. So religion should not be just a mere belief. If it has to become broad, it has to change our character. It has to make us great and good. It has to think of the peace of the world. So that's, if all the religion highlights those factors and try to become broad, there is no question of annihilation, because man needs it. It is something. Just the annihilation of religion means there is no food in the market. Can I thrive? In some form, it should be there. And that's what Swamiji is saying, that the religion can never be extinct. In building up character, in making for everything that is good and great, in bringing peace to others and peace to one's own self, religion is the highest motive power, and therefore to be studied from that standpoint, not for mere make-believes, that how it is transforming my character, how it is making me better. Let us just try. Every religion has all those ingredients. Somehow they are not in any way highlighted. Only the points which can divide us, which can make us be violent to each other, those things are getting highlighted. Highlight those things for which the religion is, that how I can relate to my spiritual dimension more and more. And from that broader perspective, if we study, all the religions will exist with all their varieties. They're bound to. So that's the thing Swamiji is indicating, that study the religion in a much more broader basis than formally. The diversity of religion is also unavoidable. We cannot think that the entire world has to believe in one religion. That when I say that religion is a basic necessity of man, and someone may say, okay, my religion is the best, let all believe in this alone, let others' religion there is no need, because mine is the most scientific religion, mine is the most superior religion. So here also Swamiji is again saying the diversity of religion is also unavoidable, as it is evident in other aspects of human life. Even if it is possible to make the whole world follow one religion, as fanatical followers of some religions are desperately struggling for, still sectarian fight within one and the same religion will continue to undermine the social unity. It's very interesting. In the present world, you will find that certain religious sects have saying that the entire world, there won't be any violence in the world if the entire world gets converted to this one religion. This is the best religion. And we will find There are countries where that so-called best religion 100% population believes. And if you read the news of the present day, don't have to go to the history. All the violence, horrible violence is going on in the country where 100% population is believing in that one religion. Why? Why it is happening? Because God, we deny God when we say there is only one religion. We deny God. God has made us unique. All are different. Do you know the difference between a human creation and the God's creation? If I suppose a particular brand of pain, all looking alike, if I just distribute it among you all and immediately take it back and ask you, just please pick up the pen which I gave you, it's impossible. They all look alike. That's the human creation. It's monotonous, boring, so uniform. But God's creation is really wonderful. In the garden of God, not two flowers are same. From our thumb impression to our mind, everything speaks of my uniqueness. In no way I am same with other. If you want to find God, if you want to see the signature of God, see the variety. The variety of this creation is the signature of God. The one who denies that denies God. God's creation is that. And when we say all will be made in the same religion, same belief, it is just like trying to make a particular brand pen, all looking alike. It can never be, because it's after all not your creation or my creation. It is God's creation. However we try, we cannot do that. That uniqueness is the signature. That uniqueness of each and every being is something which is God's signature. The variety is the God's signature. So this variety will remain. Men are different. If they were not, the world would have been degraded. Why? Swamiji is saying, like mummy, we would be facing each other with having no idea to interchange. It is our different perspectives that makes all the civilization, all the culture comes from that. What you say? There's a interaction of various perspectives. If we all had the same perspective, we would have been just like a dead, like the mummified civilization. So it would have been much more degraded. So this variety is something which we have to accept. We can never think. Swamiji in one place have told very nicely that I will be the happiest person when each and every person has his own religion. What to speak of 4 or 5 major religions? Each and every person. Actually, each and every person has his own religion. If I really try to find out the way I believe God, I will find no one else believes in the God in the same way. Impossible. We all develop our own philosophy. We study the scripture, but the way we interpret it, and that interpretation comes through through our experiences in life, we will find there is marked difference between the way I believe and the way we believe. We can never make the world believe in the same way. If you even try to do it, within that religion, thousands of sects will come and they will fight among each other. That's the biggest paradox. When you try to bring unity by uniformity, you're bound to end up in thousands of sects fighting with each other. You can never have peace that way. You have to accept the diversity. And through that diversity, the unity can be there. That we all are, after all, having the same goal. But as per our temperament, as per our choice, as per our temperament, as per the culture in which we have been brought up, we have the different modes, different ways. So that's the thing which Swamiji is indicating. He's in his words, if by the idea of universal religion, it is meant that one set of doctrine should be believed by all mankind, it is wholly impossible. Again, if we expect that there will be one set of mythology, that is also impossible. It cannot be. Neither can there be one universal ritual. Such a state of things can never come into existence. If it ever did, the world would be destroyed, because variety is the first principle of life. So we will be concluding. Thus, according to Swami Vivekananda, what says the harmony of religion consists in peaceful coexistence of religions, of nations, of various cultures, of various tribes. This peaceful coexistence with all the differences. We need not have to uniform them. There's no need of uniformity with all the differences, but without dissonance. Let the difference will be there, but let there be no any dissonance. So this, this wonderful spirit of harmony, which is actually the Vedantic idea. When the British came to India, they were trying to codify the Hindu laws, as the Warren Hastings at the time was not aware the Hindu way of life, so he was trying to code the Hindu laws. See, he actually invited some of the Brahmin Pandits, so that they can record, so from whom he recorded the preface of that, the code of Hindu laws. And in that preface, it's something which these Brahmin Pandits have mentioned, which is still recorded. A wonderful idea. I will just read out that wonderful idea which the Brahmin Pandits wrote as a preface to the code of the Hindu laws. What's the idea? Diversities of religion are in fact part of the scheme of the providence of God. For as a painter gives beauty to a picture by a variety of colors, or as a gardener embellishes his garden with colors of every hue, so God appointed to every tribe its own faith and every sect its own religion, that human might glorify him in diverse modes, all having the same end and being equally acceptable in his sight. So with this, we will conclude that we now find that what important role that Swamiji's clarion call of Vedanta, which we are yet to hear, that it hasn't yet entered our deep ears. There's a One day Ramakrishna was sitting by the side of the Ganges, and some steamer was passing through the mead of the Ganges. And when the steamer went to a long distance, and then suddenly Ramakrishna saw, he was sitting with some other disciples. He saw that the water is splashing the shore of the Ganges. On the bank of the Ganges, the water is splashing. And then Ramakrishna asked the disciples, do you know from where this water suddenly is coming and splashing? That steamer, when it was just in front of us, in the mead of the Ganges, it was passing, it has created that splash. It has created those waves. But it took some time for the waves to come from the mead of the Ganges to the shore. If you go to Calcutta, you will find the Ganges is very broad. So it took some time. By the time it came, the steamer has gone a long distance. And then Ramakrishna, the master of analogy, is saying that happens with a great soul. The more they go, the more the splash is visible. So we may be till now deaf, but we cannot just simply continue to keep our ears closed to these words. They are splashing. We need it. These are the need of the present time. They are splashing to the shore of the human civilization. We have to hear those splash and overhaul our personality and revolutionize the world culture, not with fight, not with a clash, but with a synergy, with the win-win situations. So to conclude today's talk, by the way, I will just conclude with the words of Swami Vivekananda by offering our respects to all the prophets of the world. In the words of Swamiji, salutations to all the prophets of the past, to all the great ones of the present, and to all that are to come in the future. Very nice. These words of Swamiji will find resonates with the way the original inhabitants of the Australians always have that prayer. They always first show the respect to the past, to the present, to the future. And that's the wonderful idea which comes from any of these past cultures. The same thing Swamiji is saying, that let us salute to the prophets of the past, to the great ones of the present, and those are to come. Our respect is for all, because they actually bring us, give us the nourishment for all the varieties which we have. These prophets, there's maybe some prophet I may not find is suitable for my life, but I will find some prophets are there who really I can tune to whose words. So this variety is actually welcome, so that all of us can be nourished as per the spice we like. The same food can be spiced different way as per our taste, but the nourishment is the same. The food which you are cooking, the spice may be different, that only appeals to our taste, but the nourishment which we are going to get from the food is the same. So we all have to be nourished. All the prophets are just adding the spice in different way, so that it can suit to all the unique characters of the variant human community. So with these words, so that which we find is something which is of prior importance in the present day, we would like to conclude our discussion today, that may all be aware of the importance of this synergy, of this cooperation which the world needs today. So with these words, we conclude our discussion today. It will be followed by just a short arati, and then we will have a pushpanjali, and with that we will conclude our celebration today. Thank you all for
Namaskar, Swami.
Namaskar. इसको लगा दो, इसको लगा दो।
নমস্কার স্বামীজি, আমি কানাডা থেকে বলছি।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, নমস্কার নমস্কার।
আমি দেখছি আপনার স্পিচ খুব ভালো হয়েছে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
সবকিছু দেখলাম, টাইমটা করে পারফেক্ট আমাদের জন্য এখানে।
বাহ, ঠিক।
থ্যাংক ইউ, নমস্কার। নমস্কার মহারাজ।
जय महामाई की जय। जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय। सर्वमंगले शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी
So now we will have Pushpanjali. So it's Bhav Pushpanjali, as it's not possible for you to offer flowers online. So all the good qualities which we have, that has been given to us by the Lord, by our by God, He has all the good qualities. We don't owe them. All the love, compassion, uh, empathy which we have, it's God who has implanted in our hearts. So we cannot offer anything in this, because everything is His, that we cannot offer anything which is ours. So it is Ganga Jale Ganga Puja, means we are doing worship to the Mother Ganges with the water of Ganges. So all those good qualities which the Lord has given you, that only you offer, and just praying for the well-being of all. So we will uh, just offer those bhava pushpa, which I will indicate through the mantras, which you can mentally repeat after me. Om Amayadyai Bhava Pushpai Archait Bhava Gocharam Amayam Anahankaram Aragam Amadam Tatha Amohakam Adambham Cha Advesha Akshobhakau Tatha Amatsaryam Alobham Cha Dashapushpang Vidurbudha Ahimsa Paramang Pushpam Pushpam Indriya Nigraha Daya Pushpang Kshama Pushpang Jnana Pushpam Cha Panchakam Iti Panchadashai Bhava Pushpai Sampujayet Shivam Om Aim Idam Sachandana Pushpanjali Prakarantarena Bhava Pushpanjali Sangaya Savaranaya Sashaktikaya Saparshadaya Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Sri Ramakrishnaya Namaha. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Dhritavigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam Tang Ramakrishnam Sirasana Mama Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagat Gurum Pada Padme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchid Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. So thank you all for joining in this solemn celebration of Swami Vivekananda's 159th birth anniversary. So now we are going to conclude the session. So thank you all. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Swamiji. Thank you.
Namaskar.